Do you see it?
Not yet.
There it is.
Okay. Wait. You sure it's yeah? I don't see it.
It's on your page. Raise your voice, though? I guess.
I don't know why I keep saying demo video.
Yeah, I don't know either. We're about to go on. Yes. Hurry up. Did you get it? Little girl. Oh my gosh. Posted it?
Okay. You ready for the intro?
Mm-hmm. All right, you ready?
Yep.
Okay. Hello, everyone. We're back. So, as you all know, we have been discussing Dinah, however, potato, I'm not sure the correct pronunciation of her name, but this is part 2. And we are ready to dive into this discussion. Yo, last week was amazing. Like, oh my gosh. Just being able to talk and discuss, and the feedback that we received was so dope. So yeah. So now we're going to have Jamie go ahead and recap the story, the actual story, for some of you who are just like, what's happening? What are they talking about today? Well, we are wanting to recap the story, and then we'll go from there.
All right. What's going on, everybody? Hope everyone had a wonderful day. That you have some time to go enjoy the sun that's shining outside. But last week I preached on the story of Dinah and power, rape, and violence, and saying that she can't go out like that. And so Carlene and I, what we did was a follow up. I guess what do you call that?
Like a post conversation.
Post conversation about it, and it was a long, lengthy discussion. You all had some positive things to say in response to it, and we just appreciate the feedback. And because we couldn't handle everything in 1 hour, we decided to do a part 2. So that's what we're here, and that's what we're going to discuss. Is there anything else that I need to
Yes, recap the story of Dinah.
Oh, okay. Recap the story of Dinah. Well, I'm assuming everybody here is a scholar. They know exactly what the story is
as I said,
about.
there may be some people who have no idea. So, just kind of give a short recap, nothing long, something nice and short to the point.
Okay.
You preachers sometimes try to be long-winded, but anyway.
Not me. I'm too short for a long conversation.
Right. Says no pastor ever.
Yeah, like that. So, this is what happened. Genesis 34, I think, talks about Dinah, who is Jacob's only daughter, and her mother is Leah. So we know the history of Jacob and Leah. He loved Rachel more than he loved Leah, and apparently he favored Rachel's kids more than Leah's kids. But nevertheless, this is his only daughter. She's going out into the fields or into the community, just to get some water, maybe mix and mingle and meet some new people, because after all, Jacob is in a new land, and they're away from what they know. While she's there, they are in the land of Shechem. Shechem is named after the king's son, Shechem, whose name is Shechem. Shechem sees Dinah. He is attracted to her. He is enthralled by her looks, and basically he kidnaps her, rapes her. Rapes her and kidnaps her. I want to put that first. He rapes her, kidnaps her, rapes her, kidnap her, whatever, and kidnapped her, raped her, and then held her captive. There we go. Yeah, so do that. So Jacob is told. Jacob doesn't do nothing, but he tries to negotiate with them because Jacob is in this foreign land. The brothers, though, of Dinah, decide to do something else. They trick Shechem and the king. I forgot the king's name. Starts with an H, but nevertheless. And then the brothers avenge. Homeboy. The brothers avenge the
daughter.
The daughter, Dinah's. They avenge Dinah's death by killing the people in Shechem. Dinah's rape. Excuse me. They avenge Dinah's rape by killing the men, of Shechem, and then also releasing her from the captivity. At the end of the story, Jacob is angry at his sons, and he says, why did you do something like that? Now my reputation is going to be bad. People are going to look at me as somebody who can't keep his word. The brothers say, so should we have let our sister be treated like a prostitute? And it ends like that. And basically the whole story is just, about power, rape, and violence towards women. And it's kind of interesting how, I think last week we talked about Jacob showed emotion when Joseph was sold into slavery, when they were told that Joseph died.
Correct.
He showed no emotion for his daughter, his only daughter, who was raped. And so, throughout the whole story, Dinah is silenced. We don't know anything about her. We don't see her. We don't know her. And that's it. Exactly, Tashoy. I agree. Let her tell it, because I'm not giving the good details here. I'm like messing up the whole story.
Yeah, I'm sitting here like, didn't you just preach this? Like, why is it that it seemed like you were struggling through the story? I'm just like, if I preached it last week, I don't remember my story. So I left out a lot of details. She's a detail-oriented person. I'm not. I'll give you the surface, but her questions and some of the things that she's brought up today, I think are going to be really good. Yeah. So yesterday, just to recap the different things that we kind of talked about during what?
No, not to you. I'm showing people. So I have like ADHD, right? I can't stay focused on one thing. But this is a real cool t-shirt. I wore that today because this is Pam Eccles. Her name is Pam Eccles. And this is an officer who is trying to harass her. And what's great about this t-shirt is that she manages to keep her hair tight and hold on her purse and still tell the officer, back up off me.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'm feeling this t-shirt. Pam Eccles. Okay, I'm done.
Okay. I'm good now. You're good now?
You're perfect.
All right. So a few of the things that we talked about was the fact that Dinah was so silent. We also spoke about the superwoman complex, where a lot of times as Black women, we try so much to basically bear the entire world on our shoulders, and it's always at our expense, right? That's what some of the things that we talked about. We talked about how it seems like men are afraid of women, of us, for some of the reasons Jamie listed in last week's discussion. We also spoke about the fact that her dad didn't do anything. He didn't do anything, right? So we talked about that. Well, he did do something. He bartered for her on her behalf, but he did nothing as a father to say, "Yo, you are my daughter. This is not happening." He did nothing like that. Then we also went into how in society a Black woman is not as valued as much as a Black man. And we compared it to racism and the plight of women, in that we women have to try 3 times as hard versus men. What was I saying before? Yeah, basically we don't, if the African American male or female have to try twice as hard as the white counterpart, as an African American woman, we have to try 3 times as hard,
right,
to kind of level up to.
The most disrespected being on the earth is the black woman.
The black woman, and that's not okay, right? We established that is not okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we realize that Dina doesn't have a voice. She has a voice. We all know that women have a voice. We know that. We have mothers, we have aunties, we have grandmothers, we have so many women in our lives that we know has a voice or have voices, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though a lot of time those voices might be silenced because of society and because of trauma, because of whatever, we're silenced. Just like Dina was silenced. We never ever got to hear her side of the story or how she felt. One of the things that I realized was Dina was probably, based on the society and the times back then, Dina was probably a teenager. She was probably a teenager, right? Because I'm just trying to think. She's not married. She's unmarried. So chances are, homegirl is still a child. And maybe, I don't know, maybe that's why her brothers were so like upset at the fact that, this is my little sister. Like, this is my sister. This is a little girl. And this was done to her. So that's something that as I'm thinking, I remember like, what if she was like a 15-year-old?
Right. Yeah, that's like a reasonable conclusion to come to, because they were married at a very young. There was no respect of age during those days. If a woman looked developed and the man saw it as something as and I'm gonna use something as an object to conquer, there was nothing that held them back, because rape is about power, and obviously he's the king's son, so we talked about his privilege and how he used that to his advantage to take it to abuse Leah. Kia brought up, and I think maybe we'll do another discussion about the woman that was cut up into 12 pieces. Oh my gosh,
that right there, Kia, listen to me. Yeah.
I'm not smiling because of that.
Yes, but just thinking about, she was childbearing age, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? She was childbearing age. She was probably beautiful, had it going on, innocent little girl, and she is, what's the word? Violated by this privileged
monster.
Person. Yeah, he is a monster. So anyway, okay. So one of the things that Jamie spoke about in his thingamajig, in his sermon, was this. He said that in order for men to realize that women are amazing, beautiful, whatever, that it's very important to affirm our sisters, to affirm women. So I have a question for him. I have a question for him. What does that affirmation look like?
I think right now that affirmation doesn't need to really look like compliments.
Say that one more time.
I don't think that affirmation needs to look like compliments.
Okay.
I think the affirmation looks like what just happened. Repeat what you just said. Listening, right? I think that's important. Listening. And then I think the affirmation should look like men relinquishing power or men creating platforms for women to lead. I think that's how you affirm a woman, not just her presence, but also her voice.
Right.
Like you can compliment all day, and you can say, "Hey, you're beautiful. You're wonderful. I like your dress." All of that, all those type of affirmations. But
actually, from a man, those kind of affirmations. Let's be real talk. Like, can we be real?
We can be real. I'm being real. Whoever's out there.
I think when a man affirms a woman, a female, I think it depends on who's giving the affirmation and the intent. More than likely, if you are affirming me as a man, my antennas are going up. Like, what? Why are you talking about?
So is that so now we're kind of going to veer off a little bit. Whose fault is that? I mean, like, if I'm just saying, hey, right, turn affirmation
exactly.
into
I love that.
Right?
I love that, Chishoy.
But like, if I'm saying, let's use my field, which is a male-dominated field, men, right, pastors, and then I say to I have to be professional with my affirmation at all times. Mm-hmm. So I have to say to another pastor, a woman pastor, I want to say female woman pastor, hey, wonderful sermon, you did an excellent job, I really appreciate you. Is that going to be viewed as me objectifying her?
No, that's not objectifying. No, I don't. I think that's like a legit affirmation in terms of you being happy or you really being blessed by my ministry or by what I just did.
Okay, or so don't say, hey, that dress you wore while you was preaching.
Absolutely not.
All right.
That is inappropriate.
Okay.
That
is inappropriate.
That is inappropriate.
Be professional with your affirmation.
Yes, be professional. And I love what Belia said. She said, ask how the female wants to be affirmed. Like, that's important. Like, don't just come and say, oh man, yo, whatever. Like, ask, like, how is it that, how can I affirm you? How do you feel most comfortable affirming, being affirmed? Because a lot of times men just automatically think if I just say, yo, you look mad good today. Like, why does it have? Because usually more than likely the affirmations that I've experienced, I don't know about you females, you women out there, most of the affirmations that I've felt from other men are always where it looks like I'm being objectified.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not arguing with that because
and that's not okay.
Men are visual, and I think someone
just because they're visual,
we don't have boundaries, and so what we may think, and that's also can speak to how we've been, I guess, trained in a sense to think about women, or what society, our music, our videos, women have always. And this is even in the Bible, the story of Dinah. Women have always, in the eyes of men, been objectified and to be treated as property. Mm-hmm. Right? So sometimes the guys want the most beautiful girl, and sometimes they may not even really like her, but she's just a trophy. She looks good when I walk out on my arm when I'm with my friends.
Yeah.
And so, it's always that objectifying, and for some of us we need to be, and as I think Leah said, we not only need to ask, but we need to be taught, like,
yes,
what does positive male affirmation look like, and how do we respect you, your voice, your mind, not your body, not your parts,
because I am not my body. I love what Lovner, she wrote. She said a compliment can be superficial, whereas affirmation is more in regard to capability and substance. That's it right there.
There we go.
Like, she just dropped the mic right there in the comment section, which is
I don't have my sound effects on
and that's
this.
Okay. We don't want sound effects.
Sound effects.
We're good. We're good, guys. We're good. Okay. So you said affirmation should be what? I'm sorry. How should you affirm a woman?
Well, I think in this space and time, and with what's going on in society, I think men need to affirm women by giving them opportunity, like moving over and giving them opportunity to speak and not telling them what to speak about.
I like that. Moving over and giving them an opportunity to speak whatever they want to talk about, opposed to dictating, right? What it is I should be speaking about or talking about. Okay, that's good. Okay, so expectations of men versus women. What do you think about that? What are some expectations that are specifically that you feel like is specifically for women versus for men? Well, do you think that expectations should be the same, or do you think it should be different based on gender?
I think we're talking about in the workplace, or we're talking about in pastoring?
Just anywhere, like being a human. Like, do you think that expectations should be different or viewed as different?
No, I don't think that.
Like,
I think that's a kind of like tricky question in some ways. I think as far as performance in work or performance in most things, I don't think expectations should be different. And when I say that, I mean that I don't think women should be held to a higher standard than men should be. So
correct.
I feel like, and I'm only going to talk about like where my area where I work as a pastor. Women in ministry are held to a higher standard than men are. And
why do you think
treated
that
to a
is?
lesser degree because they're like the minority, and it almost feels like it's like you being it's almost like you being the one black person, right, in an all white space,
Right.
You know,
You
that
have
pressure. Yeah, you've got to, you work in an all white corporate firm, and you're the only black person, and you have to try so hard not to act like who you are. Kind of like, don't get angry. Don't get loud. Just take what you can get, but do an excellent job. Women have the same. I think, and I wish we could hear from a female pastor. But personally, for me as a male, I think
Where you at, Moda?
I think that women in ministry are held to a higher degree because, unfortunately, a male pastor can put his hand in the money jar and
Mercy.
And in the honey jar as well too,
Mercy.
right?
The money jar and the honey jar.
And then sometimes he'll get put and shipped to a box. Now, if a woman does that in ministry,
Yeah, she's fired.
she's not only fired, but she is blackballed, and the narrative is going to be we should never have, this is why we never should have hired them. This is why we can't give them ordination, and it just goes on and on and on. It's the same thing for like the LGBTQ community, all communities that are a minority in a sense. They're always treated differently and held to a higher standard than the dominant field. So black men are held to a higher standard than white men. But then black women are held to a higher standard than white women, white men, black men, and and everybody else on the scale. So
I said all about it.
All about it. New word. Hold up, new word. All about it.
Okay, that was cheesy, but okay.
All right, what about this one?
No, it makes me feel as though it's like dance hall or something. But
like
anyway, well, great.
Comment if you like the sound effects.
We don't. Stop, y'all. Don't like it. Don't like it. Anyway, you're distracting us. We need to focus. Okay.
I need to be distracted in order to be focused.
Oh my gosh. So we know that there are different expectations for men and women in different areas, right? Okay. All right. Cool beans. All right. Now, you also said in your sermon that men should finance a woman's dream, right? What does that look like?
I mean, putting money towards the movement, putting money towards making sure that women's ordination is. Somebody likes the sound effects. Okay.
No, no one likes it. No one likes it.
Come on, man, support me. Support a brother out here. Nah, but I think like putting money towards pushing for the women's ordination, putting money towards them writing books, starting websites, preaching more, things like that. And I'm guilty of it. I don't think that I'm doing as much as I can. But I just feel like especially for the Black Lives Matter movement, I think women really need to really let women speak. It can't always be the men that are in front of the cameras, the men that are just hoarding everything. I think we're in a different age where it's okay to let the women speak because they have a whole lot to say.
Boy, oh boy, do we have a lot to say. Please stop. Who's that? Hurt Porter?
Hurt Porter, that's
Please
my
stop.
guy. Yo, this for you, Hurt.
Stop, you're making it cheesy. Oh my gosh. Guys, please stop.
Right.
Okay. All right. I also think you talked about the financial part of it. I think supporting financing it does not have to be monetary.
True.
Right? It can be emotional support. It can be whichever way you find it best to support that woman or women. Even if it's saying, you know what, you want to go back to school, or you know what, you want to take this course to further your education or to further your growth, do that. It doesn't necessarily have to mean I'm taking money out of my pocket and I'm spending it on your dreams, but I'm supporting you. Because a lot of times I know for me, here goes another truth moment for me. Growing up, my dad always used to think that reaching in his pocket was a way of showing love, of saying, yo, here is a certain amount of dollars. Do whatever it is that you want with it. And I'm just like, I don't want your money. Like, keep your money. Like, that's not what I want. I want I want to be able to be emotionally connected to you, not financially. I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, money's great, but that's not what I want. That's not what I need, right? It may be what I want, but it's not what I need. So I think a lot of times men feel like they have to reach in their pocket and say, hey girl, I mean, nothing's wrong with it, right? I'm not knocking it. Shoot, a shopping spree, whatever it is. I don't care what. I'm all for that. Absolutely. But I think it goes deeper than just the financial part, because I think sometimes there can be a disconnection where all you're doing is reaching into your pocket and trying to appease me, almost like, all right, go feed your dreams, opposed to the emotional part. Because women, we are so emotional. A lot of times the hardcore women like myself, it's almost like, yo, I'm good. But you're not. You need that emotional connection. Mm-hmm. And I just think it's important, not just the financial part, but also the emotional part.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I agree with you. And I think someone said in the comments, or you said it, ask what it is you want us to finance.
Yes. That's the thing. A lot of times we are not asked what it is that we want. And honestly, sometimes we don't even know what we want, because we have been subjected to this idea of, let me defer, let me kind of wait, right? You're as women, sometimes we're always in this state of waiting. Let me wait until it's my turn. Let me wait until, right? But you stay there. You can potentially stay there forever, and that's not okay. So I think it's super important to first of all, know what you want as a woman. Know what you want. Once you know what you want, then you can ask, or you can, even before they ask, be like, yo, this is exactly what it is that I am wanting from you. And this is either you can do it or you can't do it. But at least I know for myself, I know what I want.
Yeah. So the purpose of funding a woman's dreams and goals is to give her support in being independent and her own power.
Yo, power to Hurt Porter.
Oh, that's my guy right
there.
That's
bars right there.
Yeah, but it's so appropriate because, or I like my word apropos, because the fact that throughout the scriptures and throughout history and even today, women have always been the supporter of men. Women have always, black women primarily, have always put their dreams and their goals on the back burner.
Yes.
For men.
I.e. me. Well, I don't know for men, but sorry.
Okay. Yes, this wonderful woman here has always put her dreams on the back pedal for me. And I think it's time for us to acknowledge and return the favor. Now, as I was saying, I think sometimes we've been socially conditioned to believe that men always come first. That men
say that
always,
again.
We get, like, in some countries the husband gets the biggest piece of chicken. He sits down and eats it before everybody else. That we always, men have always been socially conditioned to believe that we come first.
Yeah, because I remember growing up in Guyana, like, I remember seeing my uncles, like, get the bigger. In Guyana, everything was portioned, right? In portions, and so chicken and fish and all those things were like a rare commodity. It was almost like it was like gold, right? If you had those things, and so when you did have it, guess who would get the biggest piece of the chicken? The man. Who would get the biggest plate of rice? The man. I know that even in Guyana, I don't really know if I don't think I remember seeing my mom doing this at the time when my parents were together. But I remember hearing or seeing when a man comes home from work, his plate is on the table, covered down, maybe with a towel, right? And it's there waiting for him, right? And nothing's wrong with that, right? I'm not saying anything is wrong with that, y'all. Like, that is, I think it's just cultural, right? And it's just based on preference. It's based on, if that's what you want to do in your home, more power to you, right? And if you don't, even more power to you. But I just think it's so interesting, as you were talking about that dynamic where men traditionally always comes first. And
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's something that's wrong. What do you guys think? Like, do you think that there's something that's wrong to think that a man should come first? And I'm sure it probably comes from where God says that the man is the head of the household, you know?
Yeah. I think first, the definition of first is convoluted in some ways, right? I think that men should always be the protectors of their families.
Yes.
I think that they should always provide security for their wives and for their children. When there's danger, so it's like this, right? When there's danger, imminent danger, the man should be first to protect his family.
Yeah.
You know, and things like that. So, but you know, when it comes to first in going to school, or first when it comes to eating and things like that, I don't think that's necessarily something that needs to be a ground rule in every home or in every situation.
Right.
I think that with our society and the way things are, things have changed, and that there needs to be, you know, some sort of agreement or some sort of conversations. Like, gender roles in our society have completely been flipped.
Have they?
Completely been flipped, where, you know, the typical gender roles in a husband-wife relationship is man works and wife takes care of the kids, washes the clothes, and, you know, all the domestic things around the house. The man just fixes stuff around the house. But that's, man, with the era of YouTube, anybody can do that, right? And so I think, like, those things have changed. So when it comes to first, I think that this is how we can flip the narrative. First doesn't always mean that you have to be the one to get something. First can mean you can be the one to give something. So me coming first is sacrificing what I want so that you can have it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's like my first thought. My first thought is not about how that's going to impact me, but how is it going to impact you as well. And I think that's what a healthy, equal relationship should look like, or should, you know, be considered. Because obviously those cues, man, the Bible is not very kind to women, and I'm just going to be honest with that. It is not, especially particularly the Old Testament, not very kind to women. And a lot of our, you know, societal training and thinking comes from the Bible, and comes from how we read those stories, and also what mothers have taught their daughters too.
Yeah, that was a lot what you said.
It was a lot.
No. It was good. A lot in terms of, like, it's heavy in that's the reality of our society that we live in. And as I said, I don't think anything is necessarily wrong with it. I'm sorry, what did the Lovener say? Get in the context of race, because of the world beats up black men. So when they get home, making it sanctuary for them makes sense. That's true. That's very true. And I think the issue, or the not necessarily issue, but the conversation of submission and all that stuff, I think the core of the concept really depends on the love, right? It depends on the love that the couple has for one another, and seeing it not necessarily as something that is a punishment, but seeing it as, yo, he just worked how many hours? He should come home to a nice meal. He should come home to a house that is clean, that's welcoming, because of all the stuff he had to face out there. So I think that is important to know that that's where we start with love. However, I think it should be a lot. Sometimes, here's the thing, because of the gender roles and it kind of being blurred or whatever, sometimes women don't. Now that in the society where women are out there working, and some men are staying home, I think not the expectation, but I think it should be okay if the man does the very same thing a woman would do in her place, right?
Yeah.
If I'm out there working, then I kind of expect that when I come home that the house is clean, that the house there is food cooked and prepared, and I don't have to kind of whatever. But real talk, it doesn't happen often.
No, does it happen here?
Yeah, sometimes it does.
Okay.
And I think we had to have a conversation. I mean, we're being real, right?
Yes, we're being real.
But I think it was just a matter of conversation, because here's the expectations, right? The expectation is not necessarily I've kind of taken on that role as being the one that cooks and clean and whatever. Not necessarily because I feel like it's my job, but I just enjoy doing it. Maybe because growing up in a West Indian home and a Caribbean home, like I had to cook, I had to clean. Well, not really cook, right? Because I used to. Anyway, that's another.
There's a whole nother episode.
But I think
I don't know how to cook.
Jamie does know how to cook. He's lying. Jamie is Chef Boar RD on level 10.
I prefer Chef Black RD.
Okay, whatever.
Or I prefer Chef Man RD, not Boy RD.
Okay, all right. But anyway, no, that should be a boo. But I think that as I was saying, we had to have a conversation. Because I was just like, his schedule is tight and flexible. Mine is kind of, I go to work at this time, I come home at this time. And sometimes when he is home, when he does have that opportunity, I have the expectation or had the expectation that he would cook.
Right.
Or start the process. Mm-hmm. Because there's nothing for me, nothing is worse than you had a hard day and then you have to come home. And I mean, I saw my mom do it. My mom would come home, she would open the door and she would wash her hands and go straight into the kitchen and start cooking. And I was just like, I don't want that to be me, I think, of course, with meal planning and meal prepping and all that stuff, it kind of helps to alleviate that pressure. But it was one of those honest conversations we had to have where I was just like, yo, can you just like try to cook some days?
And because I didn't grow up in the kitchen regularly.
Right.
But I did grow up knowing that to learn how to take care of myself. And what I mean by that is I knew how to boil a pot of rice. I knew how to do few basic things. So even though I grew up with my mom, I was able to take some of those traditions that I had learned and was able to bring them into our marriage to be an assistance to her. So, sometimes too, some men just don't have any idea. But I think that if they probably did, some would. So it's two things, right? Some don't have an idea. And I think that they would, but I would say that it's not an excuse. If you don't know how to, learn how to do that.
Yes.
Because it will say a lot for you. It will say a lot to your wife and a lot about what you think about your wife.
Exactly.
Not just sit down, waiting, and then she come home and you like, yo, what are we eating? If you don't even know what we're eating, then you should have been already ordering something to
say the word
do that, to help that. But we go.
I know we kind of veered off completely, but it's okay. But it's honest conversation that needs to be had. Because those gender roles are super important, and you think that maybe I could brush it under the rug and just kind of just assume. Listen, don't assume, because it will burn you. You hear me? That thing will burn, because you'll just be like, yo, for real, like in real life, like I don't want to do this. Like I want it to be shared. I think it should be shared, not something where it's like, yo, this is your role, that's my role.
And so true what you're saying, because whenever we use the word gender, the first thing that comes to our brain is women.
That's so true.
It's like we automatically we go to women. males are gender too.
Right.
Right. And so we need to also think about both parties, like the male and the female. But anytime there's a conversation about gender,
It automatically goes to women.
to women. That's right.
And
Yo, Othniel likes the sound.
he needs to chill. Chill. Okay, so we have completely gone left field in terms of this conversation because I don't know. But as I said, I think it's important, y'all. I think it's important to have these conversations because
Yeah.
it's going to be the death of you.
And we're not experts, we just
Not by any means.
two people doing our thing. We don't know really how to sing. I be balling on cats like my name was Jeremy Lin, pre-injury. Oh, snap.
You hear the silence? Oh my gosh. Okay. Here we go. All right. Back on track.
Yes.
So, silence. That's one of the things we want to talk about. The silence of women. Okay. I know we've kind of been touching in but the silence of women, we need to speak on it. Okay. So, growing up, and even now, the concept of, I'm distracted by Nicolay. I'm sorry. Nikolai. I'm sorry, Nikolai.
Black man with the Russian name. Yes,
That's
Nikolai.
Okay. So I've grown up with good girls are quiet girls. If you're a quiet girl, then you're a good girl. I remember this very same concept being embedded in my brain. I remember being in school and coming into the classroom. I would fold my hands on my desk and I would be super quiet. Why? Of course, I wanted the teacher to know that I was a really good student, that I was not trying to be disruptive, disrespectful. And of course, like my teacher affirmed me. She was just like, I was like the goody two-shoe in the class. And she would oftentimes say, Carlene, you can go outside to play first because I'm a good girl. I was a quiet, good girl. However, that quiet, good girl was just almost like a facade where what?
Okay, go ahead. I'm listening.
What?
I don't know this part of it. I don't know this story, y'all. This is all new to me. Please.
It's okay.
Do tell.
So it was a facade because I knew within myself there was so much I had to say. I mean, if you ask my brothers or my mom, like I always had something to say. Like Carlene is always talking. Like I was a chatterbox at home, but when it came to being outside of the home, I was like quiet and docile. And if I'm quiet, that means I'm good. If I'm boisterous, if I'm loud, that means that I am not good. And I could see this very same thing being perpetuated, right, in our society where we feel as though if you are quiet, then you are a good girl. And that is crazy to me.
It's whack.
So women are oftentimes shut up because of women are oftentimes easy to shut up because our society has reinforced the belief that it's not a woman's place to raise her voice, to speak, to have a ruckus, to speak out of turn, or God forbid, be nice. Like that's what women are expected to be. Silence tempts even the strongest of women to doubt their own truth, all in the name of keeping the peace. Everyone else's but our own. It's oftentimes at our detriment that we hold on to this silence because we want to be viewed as good. But inside we are we're dying, right? We're dying because we're holding on to our truths. We're holding on to our stories because we're afraid of being viewed as anything other than a good girl. So I feel that society has really, really manipulated us into thinking that we are undeserving of our voices, like real talk. Real talk.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, we should not use them.
Mm-hmm.
And when I think of Dina, her silence, when I think of the countless women in the Bible who we never really got to hear what they had to say in terms of their trauma, in terms of their whatever, we never got to hear it. And yes, I know that the Bible, we champion it as the word of God, and that it teaches lessons and it shows us how God is faithful and his promises and all that good stuff. But I think oftentimes in looking at the Bible, we see how our voices have been silenced as well. And I think there is a real culture shift that is happening. I won't even say that needs to be happening. I think it is happening. And our silence, we shouldn't be silent, period.
No.
I mean, I think there is a time to be silent. As God's in the Bible, it says there's a time for everything. But I think that it is time for us to shift that, the paradigm in how we view girls, women. The quieter you are, the better woman or girl you are.
Yeah, I agree. I think the reason why because when women open their mouth, they're already seen as a problem, right? So anytime you speak up or speak out against something, you're known as a problem. So if every time you raise your voice and you know, it doesn't create an opportunity for people to listen, but it creates an opportunity for people to say, oh, here we go again.
Yes.
After a while, you're going to stop speaking. You're going to just say, you know what, it doesn't make sense even saying anything, because the male dominant hierarchy is going to create the narrative and say, here we go again down this road. Why are they always picking at this? Why she always got a problem?
Yep.
And that's what goes into that silence. Perhaps Dina, if she had been loved by her dad, if she had seen how her dad treated her mom, Dina would have probably been comfortable with speaking to her father or saying something. But in her society, somebody said it earlier, women were only good for a few things, and that was for making babies and for taking care of the kids. Other than that, they didn't have a voice. And it's still the same today too. Yeah. And I think that because sometimes when women speak, as men, we have to confront our insecurities.
Say that one more time. Say that one more time. I'm sorry, y'all. I love that. Oh gosh. Not with the sound effects, just you say that.
Okay, yes. I think as when women speak, we have to confront our insecurities, and it forces us to deal with what we don't want to.
Yeah.
You know, what we want to ignore. And Marshall said something that was so powerful, that she said by 5th grade, I think it was, that girls stopped answering questions in math and science because boys don't like smart girls. And that's powerful, because one day we got to talk about Vashti.
Oh man, how she refused to
and talk about what happened when a woman did speak up.
Yeah. Not
with her voice, but with her body. So
she got silenced. Mercy, Jesus.
We got a few other women we need to talk about.
Mercy.
But yeah, absolutely, it's important that and that's why I'm saying, like, women shouldn't be the ones to fix the problem, right? I think because men have created it, we as men need to learn how to be silent. You remember in the sermon I said, listen has the same letters as silent. And listening doesn't always mean responding.
Right.
Listening simply means just be quiet and just listen and just give them the time to speak.
Yeah. Wow. There's so much you just said.
Yeah. Hurt Porter having his own little joint going on.
He got his Bible study going.
Yeah.
I think that before you
see that.
Love her. You're supposed to be on my side, girl.
The sound effects are
so
dope.
We sticking together. But I do feel here's something else to add to the mix, which is something that literally rips my heart in pieces. is when you mentioned that men ought to, that when they hear a woman speaking loud or whatnot, that they often look at them as bad and they want to hush their voices. Can we talk about the women who do the very same thing?
To other women?
To other women.
Oh yeah. Yeah, sometimes the enemy is within.
Like, especially coming from a West Indian home, as some of you may understand it, some of you may not. But in a West Indian home, Caribbean home, we are known as the girl children, right? So there are certain things that girl children cannot do as a boy child could. And I remember if I was loud or if I grew up around boys, like my brothers. I have 3 brothers. So, like, of course, I'm going to be a little bit rough around the edges, right? I'm not going to be as, I mean, even now, I feel like I have a lot of roughness around me, around my personality, but I think that's what makes me Carlene, right? But I think it is so important that, because, going back, so as a Caribbean, growing up in a Caribbean home, I remember my mom or my aunts or whoever saying, like, you the girl child, you're not supposed to do that, you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to do, and I'm just like, okay, let me go in a corner and sit quietly, because apparently me being loud or just being myself is being hushed. And I think sometimes as women, especially in the Caribbean home, like, we know how to quickly let a woman know you're too loud, you're speaking out of turn, you should not be heard, you should be silent, sit there in silence, because guess what? I had to do it too, so you do it. Whoo, child, listen.
Yeah.
And I think, yes, in a male-dominated world, society that we live in, men, that's what they do, but women perpetuate that as well on us, on each other. We do it to each other, where we look at if a girl is talking loud, it's almost like, what's wrong with her? Why is she so loud? Why can't she be quiet? But I think it's just the matter of us changing that shift, where loud does not mean I'm bad. Like Tiffany said, when she was growing up, she said that she was loud, considered to be loud, or always not loud, but always speaking up and out of about things. And she was almost deemed as like, yo, she's bad news. And that's not okay. Just because I'm loud, just because I'm vocal and I have things to say, doesn't necessarily mean that I'm bad. I think maybe mentoring me in learning how to create that, I don't know, not to make it better, but mentoring me where I can use my voice to speak up and out of whatever. I don't know. I just feel like it's just all bad.
It's interesting because these are male, I want to get a word in between there, but I don't know. But these are like male dominated, created scenarios or teachings that have become Christian values.
Wow.
Right? And what I mean by that is we biblically support the silencing of women because scripture says women be silent, women inside the church. And so those cues are, within our thinking and within, how we treat and react towards women, because that text, how I have been taught or how I've been interpreted it, is that, and this is crazy, right? And this is why I don't read commentaries anymore and all these other books, because I'm like, no, they're inaccurate. What I had read in a commentary and what I have been taught is that the reason why Paul wrote that was because the women were speaking loudly across and everything,
the aisle.
And all that, which might be true, but I'm sure it wasn't only women that were doing that. It was men too, but it just casted the light on this is why women should be silent. So if you take that from that, if you take that narrative of that teaching of that story, then you're going to always keep it to say that women shouldn't be able to speak, because if you do open your mouth, you're going to be loud, you're going to be speaking across the pews, X, Y, and Z and all this other stuff. But these are like Christian values that you grow up in church learning, and then they're reinforced in home.
Yeah.
And I think the misinterpretation or the lack of interpretation of the scriptures has done a terrible harm to not only how men treat women, but how women treat women.
Yeah.
Because I'm sitting here thinking about all the jobs or all the things that women could have done, but because they were turned away from doing it because of the fact that they are women.
Yeah.
You know, and I think about all the women. I remember, you know, when I started pastoring in 2007, there were a lot of women who wanted to be pastors, but the church told them you can only be a Bible worker. And you can only work as a Bible worker to support the male evangelists.
Wow.
And get baptisms.
Speak on it.
Because it will look good. He doesn't get baptisms. He's not the one getting, he's just preaching. He's the one on the stage. But it was the women who were the Bible workers who were pulling these people in and getting them to be baptized in the pool. Wow. And that was like a Christian value that was handed down. And these Christian values are not just immune to Seventh-day Adventism. This is throughout the world. Yeah. This is, I mean, and even throughout America, we see it, that women have always been subjugated to be in the background of men. And as I think Hurt Porter said, was that, you know, until the moment you want to be innovative, or it's this, until the moment you want to do something that a man does, that's when you're silenced.
Wow.
And that's when we got to really get into the Vashti story, because, you know, I there's some things that we need to talk about Vashti, but I don't know where you're going, but, you know, you talk about silence. AOC, what happened to AOC this week?
Oh my gosh, did you guys see what happened to her on the steps of our nation's capital? So I think it was Ted Yoho.
Yeah.
I feel like saying.
First of all, what kind of name is Yoho?
Yoho! Let me stop.
You can't.
Stop. We can make him fun of the man's.
You can't say his name.
Without saying, be like, yo.
No, you can't say his name in a room full of women, because, like,
yo-ho.
He'd be like, yo-ho. Some woman is going to be like, who you talking to? No, I'm talking to ho. My bad. I'm drifting. Hold up. I need to break it up.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
All right.
Wait, what did Michelle say? I didn't go into ministry because of how.
Oh, that was Tashoy. That's Tashoy.
Oh, sorry, Tashoy. Oh, man.
He's 55th Street Toys, Tashoy. What's up, Tashoy?
Oh, and also, Kia, you are 100% right. If you've been to them constituency meetings, they be,
mad loud.
I hate those meetings, but they're super loud. But so getting back to AOC, I think she was, I think they were having a conference, a media, whatever. The media was there. And I think he basically said some really nasty words towards her. And,
yeah, it was some bad words. He called her a B. He accosted her. He he was out of pocket.
Like I'm in Soka. Exactly, Tiffany. That's what I told him. I was like, I feel like I'm in dance hall. Like, yo, where's that? I'm about to start bogling or something. Oh my gosh, please stop. But anyway, that is what happened. And she wasn't going to say anything. Right? She was like most of the times, she wasn't going to say anything. But I think on the House floor, she was like, I don't know if she was confronted or if he brought it up or something, but somehow she felt the need to say her piece.
Yeah, well, we need to go back and get the details. But she said that she was going to keep silent about it.
Right. She wasn't going to talk, whatever.
Yeah.
She's just going to brush it off like what we do, right? That's what we do. But I think she felt the need to, on the, I can't read the comments while I'm talking. She decided to basically let everyone know what happened exactly. And sister girl is bad. Like, she spoke her piece. She was not silent at all. She let everyone know what he said and how she felt. And it just excited me to hear her being so bold and allowing for her to say her side of it, her truth, and for her to speak up about this thing that has probably been, she's not the first woman this has happened to, I'm sure. Like, this probably has been happening for however long, and because it's such a male dominated thing, that that she definitely decided to speak her piece.
Right.
And what did he come back and say?
Yeah, so Ted came back, and typical white male privilege, white fragility, goes with tears, fake tears in his eyes, and speaks to the House of Representatives and somehow doesn't apologize, but acts like he's apologizing. He can't even say her name, number one. And then number two, he turns it to himself, where he makes himself like he's almost like the victim. Like, I grew up poor, and my wife and we did this, and I have daughters.
Well,
this is not about you, man.
Well, pause before you even say that.
Yo ho.
He could not even say her name. He said, what did he say? He said a colleague from New York.
Right.
He could not even say her name.
Right. And I think what's so powerful about AOC, I know I need to learn her name, but I've been so accustomed to call her AOC, is when we talked about silence and why women need to speak, is that when you speak, you don't indirectly, you directly empower other people to raise their voice as well. And to see the amount of women and I think male support that has been around her because she spoke up about this. And I'm quite sure this is not the first time.
It is not.
That this has happened to her. I'm sure she has witnessed this over and over, multiple times. But it's important that you raise your voice. It's important that you speak, because somebody needs to hear what you have to say. And because somebody's going through what you are facing, and they need to be empowered so that they can speak out as well.
Indeed. I love what Tashoy said. Him saying that he has a wife and daughters is like racist saying that I have that one black friend, that one token black friend.
Right.
That means I'm not racist.
No,
Come
bro.
on. Yeah,
yo,
I think another commentator was able to point out the fact that here he was saying that his wife and his wife grew up poor, they married poor, and they were on food stamps. The commentator said that he was actually one of the senators. He's a senator, right?
No, he's a rep.
A representative, basically said that he voted against food stamps.
Right.
So, I mean, it's all wrong and it's all bad. But
Yeah.
I think what she did was, you can kind of see the culture shift. You kind of see it changing, where she's not just going to be docile. She's just not going to sit there and just take it. She's going to speak up about it. And it just goes to the power within us as women
Right.
that is rising up. And we're just like, not that we want to necessarily take over. As I said last week, if we wanted to take over, we could. We could take over this entire country and run it pretty darn good. We'll do a pretty darn good job at it. But I don't think it's a matter of us trying to take over. I think it's just a matter of us. And I think maybe that's what the problem or the issue that men have. It's almost like, oh, now she's speaking out, up and out. That means she wants to take over. No, it doesn't necessarily mean I want to take over. What I'm trying to show you is that I have something to say.
Yep.
I have something to say, and I'm going to say it.
Yep.
And if it makes you uncomfortable because of you're now having to face the insecurities that you have, that's not me. That's not on me. That's on you.
Yeah.
So it's either you get with the program or just move over.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, y'all, I think women are feeling even more empowered to speak their truth and not allow society to
Dictate.
silence or dictate what it is that they can say, how they can say it, how they can express themselves. I remember a lot of times growing up, people would say, "You sound white." What is that? What does that mean? What does sounding white mean? So of course, for me, right is white. White is right? And so I thought that the more I kind of curved my words and spoke a little bit. Well, now I'm trying to talk like I'm from Europe, but once I tried to curate this language of whiteness or how whiteness is viewed, I was just like, no, I'm not doing that anymore. Like, I'm going to speak the way that I speak. Of course, you can't necessarily go and talk like, yo, at a job interview, right? But at the same time, not silence the person that's within you to kind of try to make other people uncomfortable. You dumbing down yourself, trying to, in an effort to try to please people, is not helping you at all, because eventually, I don't know.
No, eventually you live down to people's expectations, and you not only hurt yourself, but you hurt others that are looking up to you as well. So never dumb it down. We've been hitting this for over an hour, and we still didn't cover everything. But yo, if y'all really enjoyed the conversation, if you felt like, we've had some valuable things to say, hit the like button, hit the share button, and keep the conversation going. So, internet world, Facebook, YouTube, do y'all want another conversation? Do y'all want us to do this again next week? I think we can talk about Vashti. We could talk about the woman that was cut up in 12 pieces. We could talk about a whole lot of stuff, but it's totally up to the people.
It's true.
If they want us to come back and to hit it again. But I thoroughly enjoy doing this with my beautiful wife, and so I appreciate it. So hit the like button, hit the share button. We're getting them right now, so it sounds like the folks want us to come back.
So before we come back, play
the DJ horn.
No.
Okay. My bad.
I feel like I'm gonna burn that horn.
Remember Pam Eccles.
Oh gosh. Anyway, guys.
HP3.
Guys. So on Instagram, sorry. See, you are distracting.
Folks, let me tell you something about me.
Jamie has low-key undiagnosed ADHD.
I have to be distracted in order to be focused. I can't sit down and write something for 15 or 20 minutes. I have to get up and walk around. I want to walk around right now, but I'm totally engaged in it too. So what was it? How many years? 13 years?
Of what?
Marriage.
He's asking me that? You're supposed to know. Look, he's trying to count 2 carry to 4.
12 years of marriage. Wonderful years of marriage. I just, the days are so sweet. I can't keep count.
Now.
That's all I'm saying. I can't keep count. But the people want 2 things. They want 2 things.
I know.
And I got to give it to them.
All right. You give it to them later. Don't give it to them now. All right.
Say your piece, and then I'm going to give them what they want. Say your piece, and I'm going to give them what they want.
Oh, my gosh. I would have screamed. I want to be loud. You guys hear my loudness? So on Instagram, I posted a story, and I asked women. You have to stop looking at the comments because you're distracted.
All right.
Okay, so I asked a question. The question was talking about, does it matter if a woman's name as a woman, do you prefer, or does it matter that a man's name goes before yours on a lease or a mortgage? And I got so many comments. Like, I wasn't expecting it. I got so many comments from a lot of women and men, because I asked the fellas the same thing. And basically, women were just like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to them. Some, of course, a few were just like, yeah, it does matter to me. But most of them were just like, nope, it doesn't matter. And guess what? For the guys, can you guys imagine what the men said? They actually said, the ones that answered, maybe the ones that didn't answer was probably like, I'm not going to answer because it matters to me. But most of the men said, it doesn't matter. I was just like, yo, that's so dope. There's definitely a shift happening where men are just like, yo, it doesn't matter who's first, who's last, right? Once both of our names are on there, because I think what a lot of people brought out was to not have my name on there is not an option. Like, that's just not an option. But to have both of our names on there, first, last, at the end of the day, when it's paid off, it's ours. At the end of the day, we are both paying into the lease. We're both paying into the mortgage. So it really doesn't matter. Does it matter to you?
No, as long as we got a roof over our head.
And I think for me, I had to check myself, y'all. Real talk. I had to check myself. Here's why I had to check myself. If the transition from being single to being married was a little different for me in terms of ownership. I owned a car, my little hoopty, my 1999 Nissan Altima. But in terms of having my name on something was something that I didn't necessarily have. I didn't own credit cards. I had a bank card. Bills came in my name for school and whatnot. But for other things, my name was not on there. So anytime since we got married, Jamie's name has always been, first. Credit cards, he's the primary card holder. What else? What are other things? Whatever else. He was basically primary. And for me, I had to have a moment where I had to realize where that, I don't know, what would you call that? That feeling of, or that need to want something in my name, opposed to me always seeing his name on it first. I kind of just wanted to have something of my own, or be the primary of something. Because when we got married, and what?
No, I'm just listening.
What's happening?
Nothing. I'm just listening.
When we got married, I'm being real quick. Right now, he's itching, y'all. He's itching the rap and the horn. But what's very interesting is when we got married. See, now you made me lose my train of thought.
No, what's interesting is that when we got married, you saw what, a shift?
Oh, thank you. You're so awesome. Mm-hmm. When we got married, we saw, we decided, right? We decided some couples decide to have separate accounts, right? So you'll say, okay, I'll keep a bank account that's mine and you keep yours, and you pay for certain bills. You pay for certain bills, I pay for certain bills, right? But we took on the model of
we share everything. We combined everything, and we share everything, our resources, and we all pay the bills together. It's not my account, your account. We put it all together. Right.
It's just one pot, right? Mm-hmm. So with that model, of course, everything is together. Everything is joint opposed to separated. So for me, I kind of wanted to have something of my own. I wanted to see, I just wanted to have something of my own. But I had to check myself. And realize that I'm not single. I am married, and everything that we are doing for one another is together. And I think it just really boils down to trust. It really boils down that there is no backdoor to this, that this is forever. So every now and again, having to remind myself of this. I'm being real, y'all, of reminding myself of this, that I'm not in this by myself. Like, this is something that we're coming together and doing. And yeah.
Amen. Yeah. And I think that's the same thing too with me. It's like, when you get prior to marriage, you live for yourself. You get married, now you're living for somebody else. And learning how to share, learning how to compromise, learning how to sacrifice are all important tenets of marriage. And I don't intentionally, want my name first on everything.
Right.
It's just sometimes, I don't know if that's just because of whatever, it just happens that way or what it is. But Mr. and Mrs. We could probably try to do Mrs. and Mr. Sometimes instead of always Mr. and Mrs. But it's just sometimes the way that things go.
Yeah.
So
or they'll do Mr. and Mrs. Jamie Calasar.
Right.
And it's
The
almost
woman
like the woman
is silenced.
become.
Yeah.
I no longer am Carlene. What you mean?
Right.
Like Carlene?
Right. But that's going to be the next episode. All right. So it's what you all been waiting for.
Wait, let me get the button ready.
Hit the applause first, please. As the people.
Wait. You're directing me.
All right.
I need for you to relinquish the control.
All right.
And let me DJ.
Do y'all want bars? Hit the like button.
I'm about to DJ, y'all.
Clap it up.
Okay.
All right, here we
Wait,
go.
where's the horn? DJ horn?
DJ horns.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, but if you play the DJ horn while I'm rapping, it'll mute me. So don't play while.
It's not a bad thing.
No. People need to hear the bars. Here we go. Bars. Yo. You can catch me. It's your boy Jamie with the blue fitted New York Yankee. Black lives don't matter. Son, is you trying to prank me? Bruh, you should thank me. Because I'm sitting here with my wife. Turn up the volume and crank me. Everybody try to beat me, but they don't even want to really see me. We talked about silence is violence with the women and how we be sinning. Not Jeremy Linning, but we need to be winning. Yo, I'm finning. That's another word for finish. DJ horn. Yo, this is Jamie and Carlene. We're going to be back next week, so hit us with the comments. Y'all know y'all like it. West Indians, get together. Y'all hear the DJ. Y'all know it's the kid. Y'all know it's me, and I'm in the place to be, and I just can't help it. I just got bars, yo, and so, sometimes I just have to, gotta let them out. That's just who I am. But, yo, this is Jamie, and this is Carlene signing out.
Peace, guys. Thank
we
you.
Love you. See you later.